Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very important Crimson Desert update, because for the first time we finally got a better look at how the game seems to run on the standard PlayStation 5. A brand new gameplay video appeared today on the PlayStation Japan channel, and naturally this got a lot of people talking, because until now most of the serious tech discussion was focused on PlayStation 5 Pro. But this time the attention is on the regular console, and honestly that is exactly what a lot of players wanted to see. And the good news is that the footage looks much more promising than many expected. First of all, the game still looks very impressive visually. You can still see the huge scale of the world, the dense environments, and that same cinematic presentation that made Crimson Desert stand out in the first place. It does not suddenly feel like a completely downgraded version just because this is standard PlayStation 5 footage. The world still has that rich look, the atmosphere is still strong, and overall it feels like the base version is holding on to a lot more of the game's visual identity than some people feared. But of course, the real question here is performance, and based on early impressions from the footage, the game seems to be running somewhere in the 40 to 50 FPS range in some parts of the video. Now, I do want to be careful here because this should be treated as an early visual impression from the footage, not a fully confirmed technical measurement, but even as a first impression, that is still a very encouraging sign. For a game that looks this ambitious, this detailed, and this demanding, seeing it move in that kind of range on standard PlayStation 5 is honestly better than a lot of people probably expected. And what makes that even more interesting is that it fits the official graphics mode information Pearl Abyss already shared. On standard PlayStation 5, Crimson Desert is supposed to have performance mode at full HD 60 frames per second, balanced mode at upscaled 4K 40 frames per second, and quality mode at upscaled 4K 30 frames per second. So when people look at this new footage and say it feels like the game is somewhere around that 40 to 50 range, it does not sound random. It actually fits pretty well with the idea that the base PlayStation 5 version may be offering a solid middle ground between smoothness and image quality. So when people look at this new footage and say it feels like the game is somewhere around that 40 to 50 range, it does not sound random. It actually fits pretty well with the idea that the base PlayStation 5 version may be offering a solid middle ground between smoothness and image quality. And honestly, this is why this new gameplay matters so much. It is not just another random clip, it gives standard PlayStation 5 owners something real to look at. Before this, a lot of people were still guessing. They were wondering if the regular console version was being kept quiet for a reason. They were worried that maybe all the impressive footage only really applied to the stronger hardware. But now that we finally have gameplay like this out in the open, the standard PlayStation 5 version starts to feel a lot more believable and a lot more reassuring. Visually, the game still seems to carry that same big next-gen feeling. The environments still look packed with detail, the world still feels massive, and the overall presentation still has that high-end fantasy adventure vibe that makes Crimson Desert look so exciting. That is important because sometimes when a game drops from premium hardware to standard hardware, you immediately feel the downgrade. But here, at least from this footage, that does not seem to be the case in any dramatic way. The game still looks like Crimson Desert, and that alone is a very strong sign. At the same time, I do not think this should be treated as final proof that everything is perfect. A YouTube video is still a compressed video, and it is not the same as a full technical breakdown. Different parts of the game could still perform differently depending on the location, the weather, the combat intensity, or how many NPCs characters are on screen. So I would not go as far as saying the standard PlayStation 5 version is confirmed to run at a locked 40 to 50 frames per second everywhere. That would be too much based on what we have right now, but as a first real impression, it definitely feels positive. So overall, I think this is a very welcome update for anyone planning to play Crimson Desert on standard PlayStation 5. The game still looks beautiful, it still feels ambitious, and the early performance impression seems much stronger than a lot of players feared. It is still not the same as a full Digital Foundry breakdown, but it is absolutely the kind of footage people wanted to see before launch. And if the final game really holds up close to what this video suggests, then the standard PlayStation 5 version could end up being a lot more solid than many expected. So yeah, this is definitely one of the most encouraging console updates we have had for Crimson Desert so far. It does not answer everything, but it gives base PlayStation 5 players a lot more confidence than before. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace.